In this video, let's talk about how to tell if a link or what's called a backlink is good and worth pursuing in your case. Now, the bad news is that Google does not tell us. The industry does not have a 100% foolproof method. That doesn't exist. So we have to approximate. And I'm going to give you the ways to approximate. There are a few factors that are very important. First factor is relevance of a site. If your site is about spaceships and another site is about cooking, you don't necessarily want that link. But if you're both talking about cooking, great. If you're both talking about sports, great. Relevance is extremely important. If your relevant site links to you, then it doesn't have to be so prominent or authoritative. That relevance is really important. But the authority does help. And I'll show you in a second how to measure authority of sites and how to look that up. Google uses something called authority to determine how trustworthy is a site, how respectable is it in the industry, and it's essentially how many other sites link to it, how many mentions does it have across the web. In a second, I'll show you how to look that up. And another thing that you want to understand is where on a website and how prominent on a page is your link going to be. For example, a link from a homepage usually is a very good link because homepage is typically the strongest SEO page a website has. Usually most links are not from a homepage. Usually most links come from secondary pages, some content pages or something like that. Well, if it's a content page, let's say there's 1,000 words in that article. If a link is coming from the comments on that article, even below the article, it's nearly worthless. And if the link is like around the 800 words or the author bio, which is at the end, it's also not as valuable. But if the link is prominent, let's say it's in the second paragraph, very prominent on the page, that signals to Google that, hey, this content is important. This link is important. That's why it's high up. So the prominence of the link is important. And you're just going to get more traffic from people finding the link and clicking over to your site as well. Now, another thing that's important is how crawlable is that website that's going to link to you? Is it well designed? Is it easy to navigate to the page which contains your link? For example, if I have to click like 10 times or 5 times just to navigate to your page, then that page is pretty unimportant on that site. And links on that page are going to have a less of a weight. But if it's what's called a second level page where I just really need like 1 click, or maybe third level page, like I just need 2 or 3 clicks to navigate to the page that contains your link, that page is a lot stronger, a lot more important on that page in the eyes of Google. And that link on that page will, of course, also carry more weight. So these are the things you want to look into before pursuing a link or when evaluating, is a link a good one for me? Now, let me show you a tool that you can use to determine page authority. There are a few paid tools, but I don't want to send you to the direction of the paid tools. I'm going to give you a way to find free tools always. And the free tools, sometimes they ask you to sign up, sometimes they change the way they work. So the best way to find them is free tool is if you search Google for a free tool to look up domain authority. Just like this search will be, sometimes these are called authority checkers. Let's just search this. I've gone ahead and I've actually done the search so I don't waste your time. I'll show you the results. Domain authority is measured from 1 to 100. 100 being gigantic, almost nobody has that, and 1 being you're on day 1. And a small business usually will have like under 40. That's pretty good. If it's under 20, you got a lot of work to do. And a mid-sized business, like some business that maybe has employees and is, aiming to be much bigger than a one-person business, maybe it's between 40 and 60, and like something gigantic like CNN or even Udemy will be in the 80s and 90s. So you see, I ran my site through it, and it's a small business owner website. I have domain authority 36, and you can even tell a few other factors about the website, like external links to the domain that are pointing is 2400 and the age of the site. And usually these kinds of sites tell you a little bit more information. We just care domain authority. And let's run another one just to check. So I'm going to say I'm not a robot, and I'm going to enter Udemy just to see where it is. So I just looked up Udemy, and you can see that domain authority is 91 on Udemy, which is incredibly high. And page authority, meaning the individual pages, carry a little bit less weight, 72, which is still amazing. It's really rare to get links from sites like this, but they can really move the needle for you. But even if a site is in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and even the 30s, you know what, and even the 20s, but it's relevant, it's still good. And one caveat here, you see a site like Udemy is actually a good example because Udemy has courses on any topic. So how do we know that it's relevant? Well, it's first of all, relevance is in the courses niche. So e-learning, anything like that. But what about cooking classes? What if, let's say, you get a link from a cooking class? And by the way, you cannot get an external link from Udemy. This is all just an example. Then what happens is you have this page authority where, let's say, if a page about cooking links to you and your site is about cooking, that's much better. But if a page about databases links to you and your page is about cooking, then it's not that relevant. So sometimes a page on a general site might be relevant for you in topic, and that page is much better for you to get a link from than a page that is totally on a random topic. So these are the factors that make up a good link.